free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings.
I think a new world order is emerging.
An inside job? How dare you? How dare you?
To create, so to say, mass-produced models of human beings arranged in some kind of a scientific caste system.
We shall go on to the end. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength in the air. We shall never surrender.
Good day, everybody. This is UCY.tv with the Solvinur Event. I'm your host, Walter, or also known as Wouter, but that's Dutch. And I also have the name Solvinur, that's why the name Solvinur Event. I made that name up long before, long before I woke up, so to speak. Waking up is the thing that I haven't talked about much. That's because I think it's useless at the moment. I mean, if there were people listening, if I knew there were people listening that had no clue what it is, I would start talking about that. But it seems that in alternative media you're preaching to the choir, so that's not going to happen. Another reason why I don't do that is because waking up is not something that I can do for you. Just like critical thinking, you have to do it yourself. And so waking up is a personal thing. You have to do it yourself. It's no use for somebody else to tell you, wake up, wake up. It's not going to happen. It doesn't work like that. The topic for today is a continuation of last week and some logical fallacies. So, before I get into the logical fallacies, I guess I could read this, and then when it gets into this, at this point here, they're talking about liberal arts and sciences, I'll stop there and do the fallacies. So, but first this, and this is the reason why I do this is because even if you're not awake, so to speak, this will help you wake up once you start on the path of waking up. The trivium is the topic. It's part of the 7 liberal arts. You have the trivium, which means where 3 roads meet, and the quadrivium, which means where 4 roads meet. The trivium pertains to mind, and the quadrivium pertains to matter and quantity. The quadrivium is basically the study of number. We'll get to that in a second. So let's start with the trivium. It's grammar, logic, and rhetoric. Grammar is discovering and ordering facts of reality, comprises basic systematic knowledge. Now, we're assuming here, and I do also, I think that is a correct assumption, that there is such a thing as reality. It has to do with primacy of existence, and some people, a friend of mine also, I know now because I've studied this stuff a little bit, doesn't have that assumption. He thinks there is a primacy of consciousness. So we'll get into those two also later. Primacy of existence and primacy of consciousness. The mystics, they don't believe in primacy of existence. They have primacy of consciousness as their basic rule. So, let's try this again. Grammar, discovering and ordering facts of reality, comprises basic systematic knowledge. Okay, so grammar can be seen as knowledge. Not only the rules developed and applied to the ordering of words, concepts for verbal expression and communication. Yeah, that's the third part already. Rhetoric. But our first contact with conscious order as such. Excuse me. Let me light my cigarette here. This is the initial self-conscious technique used improperly, discursively or sequentially, organizing a body of knowledge from raw, factual data for the purpose of gaining understanding through logic. Okay, so organizing a body from raw, factual data means you use your 5 senses to get your first basic facts. Then gain understanding through logic and thus also organizing the individual human mind. And it's like I believe Gino Denning put it like this. When you use the trivium, in the beginning it may seem as though you have to consciously keep it in mind, so to speak, but later on, and for some people it might not be later, it might already be happening. It's a program that runs in the background and just raises flags and stuff for you when you do your research or start talking or whatever. It is the foundation upon which all other methods of organization and order are built. Special grammar properly relates words to other words within a specific language. General grammar relates words to objective reality. So see, there's a big difference there. Although they both are about language. So general grammar is the one we focus on because there is a in the world we live today, it has been taken over by irrationality, or the minds of the people are irrational, and that's why we need the general grammar and logic to get rid of that. General grammar relates words to objective reality, so not subjective, like subjective has to do with primacy of consciousness. So we don't, I'll get into attacking that later. Maybe not today, but we'll get to that. So, general grammar relates words to objective reality in any language and applies to all subjects as the first set of building blocks to integrated or fully mindful objective knowledge. A body of knowledge which has been gathered and arranged under the rules of grammar can now be subjected to logic for full understanding, which, emphatically, is a separate intellectual procedure. Logic is developing the faculty of reason In establishing, what do you mean developing? Why doesn't it just say using? Using the faculty of reason in establishing valid, that is non-contradictory, relationships among facts yields basic systematic understanding, or grasping. It is a guide for thinking correctly, thinking without contradiction. This is Aristotle's work. We'll get into that later too. More concisely, it is the art of non-contradictory identification. The word identification is important here, also from Aristotle. And because Aristotle says there is law of identity, and this is also the basis or ties to the primacy of existence. See, law of identification has to do with non-contradiction, or law of contradiction. They just leave out the non there. The work of logic is proof. Yeah? Proof consists of establishing the truth and validity of a concept or proposition in correspondence with objective factual reality by following a self-consistent chain of higher-level thought back down to foundational primary concepts or axioms. It says here, I.e., I still don't know what that stands for. To me it seems like example, but existence, consciousness, and causality. See? Let's try this again. Proof consists of establishing the truth and validity. See, there you go. The word validity is important here. We will get to that also in when I do this first fallacy that I have in front of me here. Argumentum ad verecundium, which means appeal to reference, which is appeal to authority. See? The validation process has been erased here, and that's why it's a fallacy. You have to validate things before you can accept them as truth. Okay? So again, proof consists of establishing the truth and validity of a concept or proposition in correspondence with objective factual reality. Yeah? It is a means of keeping us in touch and grounded to objective reality in our search for valid knowledge and understanding. Why is that important? Why is keeping us in touch and grounded to objective reality important? Because otherwise your actions will be useless. Logic brings the rhythm of the subjective Logic brings the rhythm of the subjective thoughts of the mind and the subsequent actions of the body into harmony with the rhythms of the objective universe. This is the intended tone of the entire letter to amicably synchronize individual mental processes and their attendant actions with the process of our surrounding natural factual existence over the period of a lifetime. If you go to ucy.tv, you will see a show link at the top of the page there at ucy.tv. If you mouse over that, you get a list of all the programs. If you click on Solvinur Radio Event, I will iota, enter into the chat room where there's already there Homegym Welcome everybody. Jinx. Hey buddy. Jules, but I don't think she's actually there. Lady Pitbull, hey. Pixie, Mike, a listener, and Iota. Hi listener, and Iota, and two Anons. Welcome everybody. Yeah, so I'll read that again at the request of Iota. It seems a bit strange to me. You know, what are you supposed to think? Well, rhythm of the objective universe. What is that supposed to mean, right? So let's try this again. Logic brings the rhythm of the subjective thoughts. That's what it says, right? Rhythm. R-H-Y-T-H-M. Yeah, ritme, we say in Dutch. It's like time, number and time, right? Rhythm. Logic brings the rhythm of the subjective thoughts of the mind and the subsequent actions of the body into harmony with the rhythm of the objective universe. Okay. It makes a little bit more sense now, but this is the intended tone of the entire letter, to amicably synchronize individual mental processes and their attendant actions with the processes of our surrounding natural, factual existence over the period of a lifetime. Yeah? So, that's why your actions will have an effect if it is in sync. Rhetoric. Third one is applying knowledge and understanding expressively comprises wisdom. So the application is also important here. Usually one thinks of rhetoric as speaking, right? But it's the application also. It's applying knowledge and understanding expressively comprises wisdom. Or, in other words, it is systematically usable knowledge and understanding. There's your grammar and logic. Yeah? That's the usable knowledge and understanding. To explore and find the proper choice of methods for cogently expressing the conclusions of grammar and logic in a subject, in writing and or argumentation by speaking. The enunciation of these conclusions is called a statement of rationale. The set of instructions deduced from the rationale for the purpose of application of those conclusions in the real world is called a statement of protocols. Yeah, there's a set of rules, right? A, discovering and arranging knowledge, a body of knowledge under general grammar. B, fully understanding or grasping that knowledge under formal logic. And C, wisely expressing and using that knowledge and grasping under classical rhetoric are three distinctly different but interrelated disciplines, which yield, when applied as an integrated unit, truth. Yeah, that's what I said last week also, remember, that the trivium is one thing, actually. Okay, so let's go back here. Iota says statement of rationale. What is that? Okay, let's see what we can do here. Blah, blah. Where was that? Logic brings the rhythm, subsequent actions, statement of rationale. Where is it? Here it is. It's a rhetoric, Iota. Statement of rationale ties to rhetoric. Rhetoric, applying knowledge and understanding, expressively comprises wisdom, or, in other words, it is systematically usable knowledge and understanding. to explore and find the proper choice of methods for cogently expressing the conclusions of grammar and logic on a subject in writing and or speaking. The enunciation of those conclusions is called a statement of rationale. Okay? So, let's see what we can do here. Enunciation. No, shit. That's wrong. Copy this. What is enunciation, right? Paste that there. Enunciation. Dictionary. Here we go. Enunciation, the art of announcing. Oh, see, it's just making an announcement, right? Just speaking. The act of announcing. 2, an announcement, a proclamation. 3, I'm not going to read that. It's about Christianity and stuff. So, the enunciation of these conclusions, see, so it's about the grammar and logic. That's how you get to your conclusions, right? And then, speaking about these conclusions is called a statement of rationale. Okay? The quadrivium. If you have any more questions, just paste them in the chat and hope I read them, because I'm reading 2 different stuff at the same time. And if I don't get your question, I'll mention that also. Jota, I don't get that question. Reads forward logically and backwards logically? Excuse me, what are you talking about? Is the grammar wheel? Well, wheel could be a piece of grammar, right? Like in a car, for instance, if you take the car apart into its parts, you end up with a thing that's called a wheel, right? Then you give a definition of the wheel. It's a round thing, which can be tied to axes, right? Something like that. And then you have a piece of grammar, a building block, so to speak. Okay, Iota? I don't know about Confucius. That's confusing, right? Read forwards logically and backwards logically. Logic has to do with what you do with the building blocks, or what you do with the grammar. Understanding is tying the little pieces of grammar together so that they make sense. We'll get to a deeper explanation of what logic is at a later point, probably in 2 or 3 weeks from now. So I should have known this by now to be able to tell you, because I've heard it like 3 times already. And I mentioned it last week also. Logic is a step-by-step process. And the step-by-step means that you first use your senses to get your facts. And then you use your logic to see the relationships among the facts. Okay, that's for now what I can say about logic. You'll get a better description later when I've better understood it myself. Because that's also a reason why the Trivium is one, actually. What I'm doing is rhetoric, right? I'm trying to tell you what I know about the trivium. And that in itself is a learning process. Because if you can't explain something to somebody else, you lack in understanding. Because you should be able to explain it. If you don't understand it, you can't explain it. Right? Good morning, Justy, Hecty, hey buddies. The quadrivium, which pertains to matter and quantity, is the advanced for mathematics. That's the first. Number in itself, which is a pure abstraction, that is outside of space and time. Then 2, geometry is number in space. 3, music or harmonic theory, number in time. 4, astronomy, number in space and time. Iota says logic is absent of emotion. Well, I wouldn't say that. However, look, logic, this has to do with proof, right? Logic can give you proof. That goes also into when I give you a better one sentence explanation of what logic is. It's a pretty long sentence, that's why I still haven't got it. But there's proof involved also there. Proof is the step-by-step process of the getting to relationships between grammar, getting to relationships between facts, right? So the difference between logic and emotion is that logic can give you proof of something, of truth. Emotions cannot. Okay, emotions are useless when it comes to validating. All right, logic is used to validate. All right, but emotions are useless when trying to validate. The subjectivists and mystics will tell you that it is. Right? They say, well, there's your truth and there's my truth. Yeah. Doesn't make any sense. There's only one truth, only one reality, and we all live in it. And people may have different ideas about it, but that doesn't change reality. Reality is unchangeable. And emotions get in the way when you're trying to validate what ideas you have in your mind about reality. Okay, astronomy is number in space and time. Alright, so quadrivium is number, geometry, harmonics, study of music, study of harmonics, and cosmology. Yeah, Iota, this is about truth, because there is no difference between reality and truth. Nature, and then Iota says, nature is the only truth? Well, existence, yeah, probably is maybe a better word for that. There are, listener says, doesn't question itself. Nature doesn't question itself. That's probably another way of saying nature does not contradict itself. Right? That's the whole thing. If you want to validate, you need to get rid of the contradictions. So when you see, and this is for me, this is a philosophical truth, right? That nature doesn't contradict itself. So when you hear these scientists claim that light is sometimes acting as a wave and sometimes acting as not a wave, okay, that's a contradiction. Something can be not A and A at the same time. Okay, that's illogical. Doesn't make sense. A is A, that's it. There's more to this, by the way. A is A in the same time and respect. Okay, so a light cannot be a wave and a particle at the same time. You see? They are wrong. Their conclusions are flawed. And whether that is because of the grammar that is false, when they use the double slit experiment, there may be something wrong with the experiment, or whether their conclusions about what they observe are wrong, I don't care. That's for them to figure out. The point is that it's wrong. There is no such thing that can exist in reality that says A is non-A and A at the same time. Okay? That doesn't work. It's just too illogical. And there are no contradictions in nature. Right? Okay, let's try this from the PDF again. The subject of the quadrivium, originally organized by Pythagoras, the ancient Greek philosopher, provided much of the more advanced study prior to the integration of science of physics by Galileo and Isaac Newton. This integration precipitated in the rise in studies of other specialized sciences, but again, you can see the sensible and consistent manner in which the material of knowledge was presented. In the Middle Ages, the trivium was the method of learning presented in primary education, and the quadrivium comprised the subjects to be learned by scholars in secondary education. Tertiary education provided professional study. Right, like a smith, for instance. Today, the methods of learning and thinking via the trivium have not been surpassed, even as the galaxy of subjects to be explored and learned has expanded immensely. That's because the trivium can be used to tackle any subject. The various formal arts, including the liberal arts, right? So let's stop it here and get into some logical fallacies. So we will pick this up if I get through these logical fallacies here. Making a switch to my notes. The first logical fallacy is argumentum ad verecundium, which means appeal to reference, which is appeal to authority. The structure, or maybe that's not structure, the form in which this manifests itself is other people believe X, therefore it is true. Okay, this is appeal to authority, right? It's other people believe X, therefore it is true. This is a fallacy because of the primacy of existence. I talked a little bit about this before today. And it has to do with the fact that there is no validating process involved here. If you accept something as truth just because somebody else says it, you are committing this fallacy. The thing is that when somebody claims something, they have to provide some kind of validating process, which means using logic, to prove their point. Right? And if they don't, you have to go look for it yourself. That's what I do anyway, when somebody claims something. First of all, I check the grammar, right? So, if somebody claims a bank in Germany, for instance, is owned by its people, I go check and it turns out that that is incorrect, so I don't have to listen to anything else this person has to say about this bank because he's a liar. That's also tied to the word fallacy, by the way, because it's from, I believe it's from Latin, fallare, which means to lie or deceive. So, checking the grammar is important. There are, let's see, what does my note say here? There is difference between a quantitative and a qualitative one. Now it doesn't ring a bell here. The quantitative, the quantitative has to do with other people, like for instance 50 million Frenchmen can't be wrong, right? Well, yes they can. And there's the qualitative one, like for instance a professor says something, right? The thing that comes to mind here is modern science, like I just gave the example of light, right? So even if a professor says something, and especially it matters if the professor is unnamed, like you have expert X, expert says, right? Then you can actually you should skip over that because that's a fallacy already. It's a fallacy of unnamed authority. You see, you have to know who exactly says that. No, Iota. Quality and quantity is not X. There's a difference in this appeal to authority in quantitative or qualitative, meaning that if a lot of people say God exists, right, that doesn't mean it's true. Just because a large quantity of people say that. Now, qualitative, the priest says God exists. Okay, now we have a qualitative one. Because it's about one qualitative person. I don't know if that's a sentence, actually. One qualitative person. But that's what it means. One person says something. Or two. Right? Not a whole lot of people. So, if an expert, if the claim you read in a paper, or you hear somebody claim something on the radio that an expert says, that's a fallacy in itself because it's unnamed. There's no name to the authority. If there is a name to the authority, then you should go type this person's name into Google and see where exactly his expertise lies. Because, for instance, you will hear priests talking about things that have nothing to do with religion. Right? That's not their field of expertise, so they should shut up. Right? And if there's a professor in economics and he starts talking about religion, okay, forget it. Right? It's not done. That's appeal to authority fallacy. You should be talking about where your expertise lies. Now another thing is, for instance, a doctor, right? He's an authority, right? He's an expert. And now you have a named expert, Dr. whatever, Dr. Janssen, for instance, and you go to see this Dr. Janssen, and you have a problem with your left arm, and the doctor says, okay, we need to amputate your right leg, and that'll solve your left arm problem. See, there is a problem here, because of course, if you amputate your right leg, it's not going to help solve your left arm. This means that even if the doctor is named and you've established that this doctor has a flourishing practice and a lot of patients that aren't dying because of his practice, then you still need to use your own brain to validate what his claims are. And if you cannot validate for yourself what his claims are, you should get more information, because an expert should be able to explain to you why a certain thing is so, even though you yourself are not an expert. Right? He should be able to explain to you in simple terms the grammar and the logic that is involved here. Another thing about appeal to authorities is the thing with witnesses. How do you treat witnesses? How do you treat somebody that says, I've seen this and this happened and that's my claim? What you do in this regard is you treat them as experts. You treat them the same way. First of all, you got to know this person's name, and then if you find out that this person is a liar, for instance, he's known to be a liar, then, his statement isn't valid, okay? However, if this liar brings forth some grammar and then uses his logic to come to a certain conclusion, then you should check the grammar and check the logic, because even a liar can speak truth, okay? So, let's see. What could raise a red flag is when somebody, and you won't get this from me because my knowledge of English is too bad for that, alright? I don't know enough English words to be able to do this. But if somebody uses words in English that could be said simpler, so to speak, he's using all these difficult words to come to some conclusion, it is to impress you with his words, right? So, if you find that, whoa, what's he saying here, and you need to look up words in a dictionary to be able to understand what he says, that's a red flag. You have to be very careful with that, because you should always use the simplest terms available when you're trying to explain something to somebody else. I don't get that question, Iota. Using a thread of truth? You mean like a piece of truth, a little bit? Using a thread of truth in the looming of the rug that lies? I'm sorry, what is that? I don't get that, Iota. No clue what you're saying there. Let's see. What else? Mike says, good idea. I'm not sure what my chatters are talking about here. Mike says, good idea, Iota. Pull on that bleepity bleep and make the whole damn thing unravel and expose the dirt underneath. It's a play on words in English, says Dan. Okay, that's why I don't understand it, right? I'm sorry, guys. You know, that in Dutch we have a lot of that too. Yeah, spreekwoorden, we say. Yeah, spreekwoorden. If I translate that to English, literally, it says speaking words. Yeah. They are words that you need to understand very much differently than you would normally do in a literal sense. Otherwise you won't get it, right? So, let's see, where were we? Oh yeah. Let's see. So, besides using the difficult language, when you see somebody on TV and he's having a specific manner in which he's expressing himself, right? Rhetoric, like Hitler, for instance. You can see him standing there, and his posture already tries to put something across to you, right? And how he uses his arms, waving around and stuff. Okay, that's a way of trying to influence you also. Okay, so be very wary of that. Focus only on what is said there, and see if you can find contradictions. That's the most important thing, as far as I'm concerned. Because if there's contradictions in what somebody says, you can point them out and say, well, what you're saying here is incorrect. Okay? That's, for now, what I'm going to say about appeal to authority. Next one is argumentum ad baculum. The previous one was argumentum ad veracundium. It's good to know these Latin terms. It gives you another tie to the fallacy committed in your brain, and that's how it works. For at least that's how they explained to me how it works. If you get the first knowledge that says argumentum ad veracundium, and then later you learn that it is appeal to reference or appeal to authority, those are already three neurological ties in your brain that help you memorize things better. Yes, Dan B, but lose the space between spreek and word. It's one word, spreekwoord. And see, there's a tie between English and Dutch. Word and woord, they mean the same thing. Spreek, speech. Do you hear the etymological tie there? So, next one is argumentum ad baculum. Literally translated, baculum appears to mean, because I don't know Latin, but it seems to be a walking stick. But this argumentum ad baculum is an appeal to force. You're using the threat of violence here. The Bible is a good example here, for instance. Or religious people, better said, Christians and others that will say, well, if you don't believe in God, you're going to go to hell. Okay? That is an appeal to force. They're trying to scare you into believing something. You see, they're using your emotions to accept their point of view. Okay, that is not good, because emotions are not a valid tool to validate what is real or not. Okay? Let's see, what else we got? Oh, that's the only thing I wrote down about this? Well, it's a quite simple one, right? If you don't believe what I'm saying, I'm going to bash you over the head. Right? That's basically it. Next one is argumentum ad hominem. Okay, there are two different kinds of these. There's argumentum ad hominem abusive, and there's argumentum ad hominem circumstantial. Well, some of you may have heard this one before, and you probably know that this is attack, right? This is an attack. But the word hominem means man. Okay, so it's an attack to the man. So argumentum ad hominem is known as appeal to the man. Right? The basic idea here is that you're not addressing what the person says, but you're addressing the person. So, it attempts to disprove an idea by attacking the person instead of the argument. Basically, this is a reverse of verecundium, which we just did, right? Where you say when a lot of people say X is true, therefore it is. This is basically the reverse of that. You can say, for instance, Christians say God exists, therefore it isn't true. Because they're stupid Christians, right? That's an argument attack at the man. Right? You should be able to have better arguments than that. What is used a lot of times in this respect with argumentum ad hominem, attack on the man, is that they will try and use psychology in this way, in this sense. They will try to say, they will try to find a reason why this person is claiming such a thing. Okay, that's also an attack on the man. It doesn't matter what motivates somebody to say something, right? You should look at what is being claimed. Okay. What's here? Okay, the basic idea from this note I got here is that when we're talking about attacking the person, and that being an argumentum ad hominem, an attack on a man, as being wrong, it's a fallacy, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't attack persons if you have proof for it. Okay? I guess that's all I'm going to say about that. If you can say, for instance, somebody is a liar, and you have, like Alex Jones, for instance, I can claim he's a liar because I can prove that. Right? I've listened to him, and I've checked the facts that he supposedly spouts, and I found out he's lying. He's just lying. So, he's not an authority. Yeah. Okay, so it's okay to say that. It's okay to attack a person if you have proof for it. And with some people it's very easy to find proof. Yeah. Okay, what else do I have written down here? blah, blah. Oh yeah, it's about a perjurer. Okay. If somebody what does it say here? I'm not sure exactly because the ink from the other side of the page is seeped through and I can't read my own notes. That's annoying. Another thing that is important in this respect, when you're talking about witnesses, for instance, hold on, guys. If you're talking about witnesses and they claim to see something, then they can't. Maybe I'm skipping ahead here, but they can't use an argument like, well, prove it isn't so. If somebody claims they have seen something, or that something exists, it is their burden to prove it. It's called onus of proof. And the reason why we say that when somebody claims something, that they have to provide the proof is because you cannot prove a negative. Okay, if for instance I say there is a purple dragon flying in the air, and I give you the task to disprove me, it's going to be impossible for you because you cannot prove a negative. That's just a law. You can't get around that. So it would be on me to prove that there is a purple dragon flying in the air. Okay, so if I make the arbitrary claim, look guys in the sky, there's a purple dragon flying there, and you all look and you go like, where is it? I don't see a purple dragon. Then you can just dismiss with my arbitrary claim. Okay, there's another way in which these are just examples, of course. You understand that, right? There's another form in which this can happen, and I say, well, look, there's a purple dragon in the sky. Don't you see the purple shimmering? And then you guys look up in the air and you say, yeah, I see the purple shimmering, but that's from the death thrills, you know. So you've just, you debunked my conclusion about what the purple shimmering is, you see. And you've come up with a better explanation of where that purple shimmering is coming from, you see. And I'm not kidding about that. By the way, about the shimmering in the sky. It used to be, and I'm going off topic now, but it used to be, when I look up in the sky, I saw white clouds and gray clouds, and sometimes green when there's a thunder coming, right? But that's about the spectrum of cloud colors that we used to have. White, grayish, and dark, right? But nowadays, when you look up in the sky, you see all kinds of colors. Seriously. There's greenish, light greenish, I see, and pink, and orange, right? That's from the chemtrails, people. The death trails. Seriously. Okay, that's the abusive part of the argumentum ad hominem. There's also circumstantial ad hominem. For instance, you can, and this may not be a good example, because I personally think that evolution theory and the existence of God do not exclude one another. But just as an example, right? You're using an ad hominem. You're committing an argumentum ad hominem when you say to a priest, well, you must believe that Darwin is wrong because, after all, you're a priest. You believe in God, right? You believe in creation. Therefore, Darwin is wrong. You must believe me, you say to the priest. Okay, that's an argumentum ad hominem. You're trying to use his belief to disprove something else. Okay, it doesn't work like that. That is not a correct way of disproving something. Okay? Let's see. Okay, again in this fallacy, it's okay to point at contradictions. That's fine. So, for instance, if and I wrote this down myself, these are not notes I made from what I learned, but it's kind of a repeat of what Jan Irvin said once. Or maybe it wasn't him, I'm not sure exactly who it was. But say, for instance, a person that is wearing leather clothes is claiming that killing animals is wrong. Okay, so you're going like, but he's wearing leather clothes, so he's using the fact that animals have been killed, and he now says that killing animals is wrong. Okay, so you can't use the fact that he is wearing leather clothes, because although it is hypocritical, it doesn't apply to his argument. It doesn't matter that he's wearing leather clothes. You have to look at the argument that he's promoting, and see what you can do with that. Okay, next one. This is, by the way, not going as smoothly as I expected it, by the way, so if this broadcast seems a bit unnatural or something, it's because of me. I should be able to do this better, but it's not coming out that way today. Next one is appeal to emotion, which is, the previous ones are also a form of appeal to emotion. Unfortunately, I don't have a Latin word for this, but appeal to emotion has to do with one's own emotion. I'll give you an example of this. I believe I said this last week also. Oh no, that was not last week. That was when I was a guest at Justin. I was working and in this factory, and we got breaks at 12 o'clock, for instance. You go in the meeting hall and eat your food and have a cigarette and stuff, and people start talking, right? And at one point, the people that didn't have a job came into discussion. Oh, well, they're just feeding on us, and we have to work for them, and they should get their own job, was the claim, right? And so I was already aware that our factories have been shipped to China, a lot of them, because, you know, that's what an entrepreneur does. If he can find cheaper workforce, then he will do so, right? Because it will give him more profit, okay? So, you can't argue with that. So what happened is that factories here in the Netherlands, they started shutting down, and they started being put up in other countries, for instance in China, but also other countries where the workforce is much cheaper. So, but because all of these people, they were saying, yeah, they should get their work, and why should we work for them, you know? And I didn't bring forth my arguments because I didn't want to get a bad reputation there, right? So that is basically an appeal to my own emotion. I used the fallacy there, appeal to one's own emotion. Even though I had good arguments, you see. Okay, and the form of this appeal to emotion is, I feel that X is false, therefore it is. Okay, that's the fallacy. Why is this a fallacy? Because of the primacy of existence. It means that feelings do not constitute a valid means of establishing truth, alright, or getting to proof. You need logic for that, not feelings. They are useless when it comes to validating. Now, blah blah. Why is emotion not a validating tool for getting to know what is? It's because existence is what it is, regardless of what somebody feels about it. Understand? Okay. Another example, maybe? No. We're going to go on to the next one. Hold on, guys. 1 sec. Choop, choop, choop. Next one is argumentum ad populum. And this is, populum is people, populace, population, right? And argumentum ad populum is appeal to the people. It is this is an attempt, and Hitler also comes to mind here. It is an attempt to appeal to people's emotions, such as hate, for instance, right? Or enthusiasm. Advertising uses it a lot. It tries to associate feelings with their product, right? When your feelings about a certain product may not be valid, okay? It doesn't say anything about the product, your feelings. Blah, blah. When somebody tries to pull this on you, they will try to use sometimes emotional words. Alright, so if somebody is psychotic, they might say, he's mad, he's insane, he's a lunatic, he's gone nuts. Okay, all of those words point to psychotic. Okay, so that's just an example, right, of emotional words. Another one is, for instance, here in the Netherlands. If you go to the market, you can buy filet Americain. Now, that sounds rather nice, doesn't it? But if the same package would have said grinded meat, it doesn't appeal to you as much, you see? So that's argumentum ad populum, using those words, using emotional words. This is not a fallacy if, no, I should forget what I said there. Forget that I said it is not a fallacy. It is only a fallacy if the emotions replace an argument. Okay, so it's okay to be emotional about something. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as your arguments are valid and as long as your emotions do not replace the arguments. Okay? Next one. Listener says, seems like feelings can cause a lot of problems. Well, just don't use them as a tool to validate. That's the whole idea. You should have feelings, otherwise you're not a human, right? Just don't use them as a tool to validate something. That's the main point, I guess. Iota says, yeah, reactions are emotional. Response is logic. Perhaps. I don't know if response is logic. Response, reply, right, doesn't have to be logic. I can reply something to you that is very illogical. Logic is a process of step-by-step using the grammar and the logic. That is the step-by-step. Okay, first step is get the grammar, then use your intelligence to find relationships among the grammar, and come to your conclusions. What is it? Premise. It starts with premise, right? For instance, all men are mortal. Then a secondary statement, of which I can't get in my memory back the right word for this thing. Right, so the first premise is all men are mortal. The second one is Socrates is a man. Therefore your conclusion is Socrates is mortal. You see? So it's a step by step coming to a conclusion. That is logic. I will give you a better explanation in coming events, guys. I should be able to explain this much better, but it's not getting out there today. Let's get to the next argumentum. It's argumentum ad misericordiam. Misericordiam, misery. Appeal to pity it is. It tries to invoke compassion. It's another form of appeal to emotion, as I see it. It's trying to make you cry and have you act on that basis. Like for instance on TV, they used to throw this at us here in Holland when people were eating their meals, and that is the reason why in some homes the TV was shut off when people started eating their meals. It's because they threw these ads at you with these starving African children. They would show you pictures, right, of these children sitting in the sand and having no food. That is an appeal to pity. You're supposed to feel bad about this and then give your money to them, right? Instead of pointing out that there are forces at work there which lead to this situation. It's not because there's not enough food in the world. That is not the reason. Another example of appeal to, appeal to misericordiam, appeal to pity, is for instance when a youth is acting in a not so nice way, right? He's bashing other children, for instance. He's bashing them on the head. And then his aunt comes along and says, well, this, my nephew, he had a bad youth and we should excuse him. What? Excuse me? Just because he had a bad youth, he can act badly himself now? You see, that doesn't make sense. That's not acceptable as far as I'm concerned. Just the fact that he has had a bad youth doesn't mean that he has to become a criminal himself, you see. You should be able to act more humane than he was treated. Chup. Another example of appeal to pity is, for instance, when an employee goes to his employer and says, I need a raise because my mother is sick and I have 5 children and I need to feed them all. Okay, that's not a good argument. It's appealing to his employer's emotions. He should say, for instance, I need a raise because my work is of high standing quality and I work harder than anybody else, right? And that those claims can be proven, you see. Okay, next one. And this one is hard. I'm gonna probably have a hard time explaining this one because it's not easy. This one is called argumentum ad ignorantiam. Okay? Argumentum ad ignorantiam. I already made a little bit of mention of this a while ago when I used the purple dragon example. The idea here that we're going to get across is that you can't prove a negative, and they're trying to use that on you. If somebody says, for instance, God exists, prove to me that he doesn't. And then they say, well, you can't prove that God does not exist, therefore he exists. Okay, this is argumentum ad ignorantiam. It's argumentum ad igno... I'll write this out for you guys so you don't make mistakes. Ignorantiam, with an A, not with a U, listener. Argumentum ad ignorantiam. So they're trying to use your disability to disprove something, therefore they claim that their claim is true. Okay? Doesn't work like that. What you have to do is recognize this and say, but wait a minute, it's not my place to disprove you, it is your place to prove your case. Keep that in mind, this is very important. If somebody claims something, the burden of proof is on them, not on us to disprove whatever is being claimed. You might hear this sometimes on alternative media. When they make claims and they say, well, disprove me. Doesn't work like that. I've heard people claim this, for instance, with ancient aliens, right? They say, well, we humans, we are a breed of alien and some kind of ape man or something, and tell me why this is not so. Wrong. Okay? You tell me why this is so. Not the other way around. Don't fall for this, people. Very, very important. It's impossible to prove a negative. That's why you must say to the other person, you have to prove your point. Okay. The form in which this comes is X is true because you can't disprove it. It tries to use your inability of refutation. Okay? So don't fall for that. If they try to pull something out of you, trying to make you refute some argument, some conclusion, I mean, then say no. That's not going to happen because I can't prove a negative. It's your job to claim your claim is true. Yeah? There is blah blah. Let's see, what have I written down here? Basically, I've already said everything I've written down here, looks like. Another thing about this, to understand, there's two kinds of statements. There's a positive statement. You say something exists. And there's a negative statement. Something is not so. Okay? You have to look at the words very carefully here, not at the grammatical structure. You have to look at the meaning of words and not at the grammatical structure. Because it might sound positive if I say somebody is innocent. It is not. It is not a positive statement. Because he is not guilty, you see? And you can't prove somebody is not guilty. It's impossible. You can prove the positive that somebody is guilty. Okay, that's provable. Alright? But not that somebody is innocent. You cannot prove that. For instance, if somebody is accused of a murder and the accuser goes, well, you murdered Mrs. Janssen, and the accused says, well, that's not true, because I have witnesses that say that I was at their place, and therefore I could not have killed Miss Janssen. And the accuser will go, well, these witnesses can be bribed. You see? Or, for instance, the accused goes, well, okay, I'll try it this way then. I was in a hospital, laying in bed, and therefore I could not have killed Mrs. Johnson. And the accuser goes, well, that could have been your twin lying in the hospital, or a lookalike, right? So, the thing is that you cannot prove a negative. So keep that in mind. And don't let other people force you into disproving their arguments. It's not going to happen. Okay, let's go on to the next one. See. Well, that would be a positive. There's let's see, how do I explain this? Listener says, so you can't prove someone's not an idiot. Well, let's see. Oh, how did he put this? In the primacy of existence, it is that A is A in a certain time and respect, right? So this is like not A, what listener says. So you can't prove someone's not an idiot. Those are two negatives, right, listener? You can prove somebody is an idiot, right? So take it from there, because you're using two negatives here, which makes a positive. So you can't prove someone's not an idiot, but you can prove somebody is an idiot. And if he's an idiot, that means if he's an idiot and you compare that to somebody else who is not an idiot, then you have a difference there. But you see, A cannot be A and not A at the same time. So if he's not an idiot, right, that means he's something else. Okay, this doesn't make any sense. Hello. Something, yeah, now I kind of start to remember what it was that Aristotle said. Because the iota and her idiot example made me a little bit a reminder of this. There's no middle. There's no middle ground when a claim is made about somebody. For instance, somebody is a genius, right? And the other opposite of that would be idiot, right? Or not a genius. That's how Aristotle explained it, as far as I remember. Somebody is a genius, or he's not a genius. Okay? There's no in between. Or you might say, well, there's people that, let's say a genius has an intellect of 120, right? And there's people that have intellect of 100, okay? So then you say, well, this person is a genius, and he has an intellect of 120. And this person is not a genius, he has an intellect of 100. Okay? There is no middle ground, which means that a person at 110 is also not a genius, you see? There's no middle ground here. Okay, I explained that badly, but something is or isn't. It cannot be both at the same time. Next on 8. Oh, what time is it, guys? What time is it? We only have half an hour left, so 8 is argumentum ad. That's the number 8. We've done We've done 7 so far. So next one is argumentum. No, I've done that one. We're going on to the next, which is petitio principii. I'll write this down in the chat so you can check that at Google. Oh, I didn't write it down. I was typing, but not in the right thing here. Choopy choopy choop. That's how he wrote it, right? Yes. The next fallacy that we're going to use is petitio principii. It is translated as begging the question. The form that this takes is X is true, therefore X is true. Okay? Seems simple enough, right? The way in which this is usually used, or one form in which this is used, one way in which this is used, is restating the thing that you said, but using different words. Circular reasoning is a version of this. Okay, so restating something, for instance, vivisection is immoral or something. Vivisection is immoral because killing animals for experiments is wrong. Okay, that is using different words to mean the same thing. It tries to give proof for the claim by making the same claim, you see? It's just different words. Circular reasoning is a form of this. An example is somebody claims that God exists, and then you say, well, prove to me God exists, and they say, well, the Bible says so. And then they say, and then you ask, well, why should I believe what is in the Bible? And then they say, well, because God wrote the Bible. You see, that's circular reasoning. That doesn't, that's not allowed. There's also a complex question, and this ties back to an event I had with somebody from the chat. I don't remember exactly who it was, but he's also a host on this radio station. I'm sorry I'm so bad with names, guys, but he was a guest on my show. And we were talking about about God and sometimes and about the universe and creation and things like that. And it turns out, now I found out because I understand better what is a complex question. You see, the complex question is who, what created the universe. You see, the assumption here is that who, somebody, or what did indeed create the universe. Okay, so prove to me that claim is correct. I'm using the... yeah, no, I'm not using argumentum ad ignorantium. I'm not saying disprove me, I'm saying prove. Prove that that is correct. You know, who says the universe was created? Huh? So the question, who, what created the universe, is a false question. You can't put it like that. First you have to prove that the universe was created. Okay? maybe, I'm not a scientist, but when you look at what the Hubble Space Telescope is showing in its deep field photographies, is that there are galaxies there, far, far away, 14 billion light years away. They can't even reach the edge of our universe with that thing. So they don't even know where is the end of our universe, right? So how can they claim that the universe was created? Maybe, and this is just my thought, maybe the universe has always existed. It's always been there. And so it wasn't created. Okay, this is a bad argument, but it's a mystic argument, guys. What I just said, so forget it. Okay. That's it for the fallacies for today, guys. Got about 24 minutes left. So let's get back into these various forms of various arts. The various formal arts, including the liberal arts, are classical concepts from ancient Greece and Rome, which were refined in medieval times. The following contrast the three classical arts in contemporary term. 1. The liberal arts, of which there are 7. Free a person, that's what liberal means, right? Free a person who is informed to qualitatively know the mind and the method of training it through the trivium. Knowledge of the quadrivium, knowledge of the quadrivium provides an individual the freedom to quantitatively discern the aspects of physical nature. The realm of extension, mind does not possess this quality. Bad intonation here. In human perspective, mind and matter are the total of reality. The liberal arts are the study of reality as well as a guide to abundant living in that reality. Until recently in the West, the study of the 7 liberal arts was considered the paramount study, to be sought even beyond the pursuit of theology. The utilitarian or servile arts prepare a person to serve another person, to work for somebody. Another person, the state, a corporation or a business, and to earn a living. The occupational professions, trades and technical vocations comprise these arts. Servile arts teach us how to provide a living, but not how to live. Right? These are the only arts regrettably presented to most of us today. The fine arts is of the higher sort, attempting to elevate the human experience by communicating truth through the beautiful and the sublime. Architecture, painting, sculpture, literature, music, drama, and dance comprise the 7 fine arts. Essential terms for the next thing. 1. Existence. Every entity. Right? Every entity has also been described as every substance. Okay, so existence, every entity, action, attribute, and relationship that is, was, or ever will be. That's existence. 2. Identity. That which an existent is. The sum total of its attributes or characteristics. We'll get into this later, also, a couple of weeks maybe, with Aristotle's 10 categories. 3. Consciousness, the faculty of awareness of that which exists. 4. Validation, the process of establishing an ideal relation to reality. 5. Law of causality. An entity must act in accord with its nature. This is a corollary to identity mentioned above. Logic, the art of non-contradictory and identification, is the method by which we can validly think for ourselves. Now, they're going to claim some things that are supposedly from India. This is from the Amribitnu Upanishad of ancient India. So you got to be very careful with this, guys, because I don't trust those people in India and their philosophies. I've managed to punch holes in them already, so. But anyway, this is what it says. That in which reside all beings and which resides in all beings, which is the giver of grace to all, the supreme soul of the universe, the limitless being, I am that. Oof. That's like saying I am God, right? Very careful with this, guys. I don't know why this is put in here. That's just very confusing, right? When it says that in which reside all beings, okay, what would that be? The universe, right? That in which reside all beings. Okay, as far as I know, that's the universe. Then it continues, and which resides in all beings. What resides in all beings? I couldn't give you an example of that. That's why they're using terms like supreme soul here. Because they don't know what they're talking about themselves either. They call it the limitless being. How does it reside within you when we are the ones residing in the universe? That doesn't make sense. Continues, there are those who discern through the eye of knowledge that there is only one, that there is only the field and the awareness of the field from the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, I've read that stuff a lot. And when you go look up where this is from, it's from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, verses 1 and 2. And unfortunately, there are too many links referring to only one source. Okay, that's not good. You need to have more sources. I would like to talk to somebody that knows Sanskrit and not be religious about it. The verse goes as follows. Oh, Arjuna, who's on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, remember that word, Kurukshetra, because I'll get back to that. Arjuna said, "O Krishna, I wish to know about Prakriti, that's nature, Purusha, that's the enjoyer, and the field, and the knower of the field, and the knowledge, and the object of knowledge." Okay, then Krishna says, "This body, O son of Kunti, is called the field, and one who knows this body is called the knower of the field." Okay, that sounds logic. Okay, it sounds logic. Now compare this to this. There are those who discern through the eye of knowledge that there is only the field and the awareness of the field. Okay, so what they say here is that the field is your body. So, I looked up the specific word which would translate to field here, which is sarinam. And this word sarinam is translated as body. You see? They say that the field is a body. Okay, so let's see, blah blah blah. I mean, they say that sarinam is the body, and then they go. I look up the word field. Now, this is wrong what I said just 1 minute ago. That's why I said, remember what I said, Kurukshetra. Because the word field is kshetram. Arjuna is at Kurukshetra. Kshetra is a field. Kuru is a family name. This is very annoying, people, because this Sanskrit language, you know, it's not like English. It's I'll read this. I'll translate this word for word for you. Arjuna Avache, it's Arjuna said, then Prakritim is nature, then Purasham is the enjoyer, then Tsa is also, then Eva certainly, then Kshetram, the field, then Kshetrajñam, the knower of the field, then Eva is certainly, then Tsa also, then Etat, all this, then Veditum, to understand, Ichami, I wish, Janam, knowledge, Jnanam, the object of knowledge, Tsa, also, Kesava, that's another word for Krishna. See, that's the end of a sentence. So it says, Arjuna said, nature, the enjoyer also, certainly, the field, the knower of that field, certainly, also, all this, to understand, I wish. Knowledge, the object of knowledge, also. Do you see how that does not make sense to us? This is the literal translation of the word for word what Arjuna said. Then Krishna says, the Krishna says, this body, O son of Kunti, the field, thus is called, this one who knows, he is called the knower of the field, thus, by those who know this. Do you see how little sense this makes? When you translate it word for word? So, but then, you see, in the translation, it says that Krishna says, this body, O son of Kunti, is called the field. What? How can you claim such things when in the word for word translation, the translation for body is sarinam and the translation for field is kshetram? You see? What they're trying to do here, as far as I'm concerned, is trying to make you think that your body is a field and that you are the knower of this field. In other words, you are the knower of this body. They're trying to confuse you here. Why do they put this in here, in this PDF about the trivium? And why do they not give explanation here further on? They do, but it's a wrong explanation. See? They say, in the PDF about the trivium, they say, there are those who discern through the eye of knowledge. Yeah, the eye of knowledge. What do you think that is? That's your third eye, or in other words, your mind. There are those who discern through the eye of knowledge that there is only the field and the awareness of the field. This sounds like a primacy of consciousness to me. And no. It's not like that. I mean, before you were born, the world already existed. So how can they claim that there is only the field and the awareness of the field? No, doesn't make sense. Invalid as far as I'm concerned. Right? They say, this is from the Gita, yeah, that's correct. It's some translation, because there are many translations of this verse. And then they say this references 1. Philosophy, the 2 primary axioms, existence and consciousness, and 2. Modern science, field theory. What? We should get this biologists on air, and I will try to do so. I should write Rupert Sheldrake back in January and see if we can get him on the show. He can tell us a little bit about this field theory. But why would there be 2 primary axioms in this verse? The existence and consciousness. As far as I know, they're only talking about the body and you here, as I read it, as I understand this, right? There are those who discern through the eye of knowledge that there is only the field, and the awareness of the field. How do they get existence in there? The consciousness part I get, okay? But this sounds much like primacy of consciousness to me, which is unacceptable as far as I'm concerned. The first thing is existence, and consciousness is gives you the tool to be aware of what's going on. Here's more of this vague stuff. Your vision will become clear only when you look inside your being. Excuse me? Who looks outside is led to imaginings. Who looks inside awakens. Yeah, right. Now, I have to very much disagree with what's being implemented or trying to say here. Awake has to do with, you know what reality you are living in. And that is not the reality that is being presented to you on TV. Okay? So if you want to know about what's really going on, you definitely have to look outside, not inside. I could even claim there is nothing inside. I got arguments for that. There isn't anything there. There's nothing there. Forget it. Don't waste your time sitting on a cushion in your lotus posture, closing your eyes and looking inside. Don't waste your time. It's really senseless. You have to use your intelligence to figure out what's going on in this world, to figure out reality. Not some vague idea, or your visions will become clear only when you look inside. That sounds like Revelations. Come on. They used to have so many revelations in the past, when this all started, that there was no way to tell which one is true, because one revelation would contradict another revelation. You see? That's what you get when you look inside. Everybody sees something else. It's nonsense. The information you get from outside by using your senses. I don't know why they put this in here. It freaks me out. Yeah, I'm not being clear then, because this verse is not clear. It's too vague, too broad. I could discuss a lot of things about Bhagavad Gita. I know a lot about it. I've studied it for years. And I'm telling you, it's a bunch of nonsense. Seriously. They claim they are, as far as I'm concerned, they are mystics. Because they will claim things that exist for which there is no proof at all. All they can point to are some half-baked arguments and their feelings, you know? That's all they can point to. And their feelings are not acceptable. And their half-baked arguments can be debunked. Because in their half-baked arguments, they use claims that cannot be proven. And then they put the blame on you for saying, by saying, you can't disprove this. You know, they're using ignorantium on you. Say the soul does not exist, they say then. Huh. No. It's on you to prove to me that the soul does exist. You know? And they base all of their fracking nonsense on it. Like karma, for instance. My God! Millions of people are under the influence of this. They are controlled by this fricking nonsense called karma. It's outrageous. It freaks me out. Makes me very mad. Billions of people being controlled by this idea for which they have no proof at all. In fact, I can disprove it. This karma nonsense crap. It will say like when you it's in English and Dutch we have a saying, when you do good, good will come to you. Nonsense. If that were true, a lot of criminals would be dead. Like Bill Gates and stuff. That's the end of my show. Thanks for listening, everybody. I'll be back next week and we'll continue this. Okay? Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings.
I think a new world order is emerging.
An inside job? How dare you? How dare you?
To create, so to say, mass-produced models of human beings arranged in some kind of a scientific caste system.
We shall go on to the end. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength in the air. We shall never surrender.
The status quo, or our existing state of affairs, is in conflict with human needs for survival. The storm of irrationality has three major components, and give me just a second. Censorship or secrecy, which is the act of occulting information. Corruption of education, which leaves you intellectually self-defenseless. And three, absence of nonviolent communication, which prevents constructive action. Ending secrecy and revealing the truth does not automatically give people critical thinking. Providing intellectual self-defense does not automatically prevent censorship, nor does it teach how to communicate. Learning how to communicate does not end in secrecy, nor does it provide critical thinking.
For more news, visit 8minews.com.